Hi guys, so I thought we'd just do a sketchbook tour. I've never actually done one of these. This isn't purely a sketchbook. This is kind of like my first art journal. I think I started this my freshman year of community college. Got some weird camera angle going on because I have a big book on a tiny table, but this is where the light's best, so let's get to it. I've not looked at this in years, so I don't remember what's in here, and I don't know how long the video will be, so I don't know if I'll need to cut things together or make it two parts or what. So, because it's pretty full. But I really enjoy watching these kind of videos from other people, so I thought it might be a fun way to get back to YouTubing. I've had a couple months off. I restarted my blog, so if you're interested in that, I'll link it down below. I really missed writing, but now I really miss videos, so I kind of want to get in a nice balance where I get to do some of both. So this was actually a gift from one of my art mentors, Carole Stuart. I'll link to her art down below. So she's the one that got me into starting the idea of this. So I don't know how much you can see, but clearly I've been into Lord of the Rings for a long time. So this is a really light pencil drawing, kind of how tentative I was to start. I have like a little gnome guy here, Gandalf's hat, bag end, a tree, some mushrooms, the ring, a key, and a little fairy. And it says Volume 1, 2003, and then I never put the end date. So that's how long ago this was. Wow, that's a long time. Then I have some of my favorite quotes in here. I won't get into too many details or I'll never finish. This one I'm starting to shade in a little bit. Then this was about Lord of the Rings, which had just become a movie. Well, actually Return of the King had become the movie. I think I intended to put more here, but I never really finished this page. So it's like part scrapbook, part art journal. Then with my art department at East Central, we went to see this really awesome exhibit, and I was fascinated by this lapis lazuli in the Egyptian art, and that was in New Orleans. And I'm starting just some random sketching. More quotes. Never been that great at people, but at some point I got too scared to try. I'd like to kind of go back and learn a little bit more about that. Not too bad for a hand. This is when Miss Carole was trying to get me to do like gesture drawing where I wasn't being as perfectionist and just kind of went really loose and fast. That's not something I ever actually had a class in, but it would probably help me a lot because I have a way of overdoing it. These are not that bad. I should probably try this style again. This dog was a little misproportioned in real life, so another dog. To read The Artist Way. This is one of my favorite creative books, but I've never read these. Ideas for paintings. I've only done the one. Another gesture drawing, but with pen. That's actually Miss Carole herself. This is in the car. Oh, these light pencil drawings you probably can't see. I move on to some collage later, so that'll show it better in the picture. That's my dad and my uncle. Some more quotes, and just some brightly colored stuff, papers. Really have always loved The Wizard of Oz. Then we went to Savannah, Georgia. I was actually touring it because I'd been accepted to Savannah College of Art and Design, but then my dad had some health problems, so I ended up going to Mississippi University for Women, accepting men since 1982. I hated what was here so much that I tore it out, apparently. Then I was taking some classes on like contour line drawings in community college. So I was practicing that. Again, with the people. At least I was trying back then. This is another trip. Apparently we did watercolor on a Krispy Kreme donut. Napkin, some more gesture drawings. Did a lot of just like notes in here. Which is funny because I guess I'm remembering like the later things that I did in this journal, which were more collage. This was some kind of really cool catalog where you could buy all this stuff, and I was just fascinated. I'm still fascinated with Damascus blades. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but the steel is like folded and it makes these really cool patterns. I would love to have a Damascus blade. I had just seen some of these in person for the first time. And I mean, who doesn't want a suit of armor, really? I have a sword, so I can check that one off. These look very Lord of the Rings. Oh, this is cool. Words. These are just words that I like. More quotes. This is where you can tell I am a word creative person. Like, I'm not just a sketcher. I've always kind of leaned into the storytelling and words side of things. This is a play. We did Wizard of Oz, and this is like a prop from not the Queen, the Witch's Castle. I was the stage manager. These are one of the lights and the little scenes that I made. And then these are kind of related to theater. Some family pictures, a family trip. So one of my cousins is really into skateboarding, so I probably cut all these out of magazines after I had just met him. And then apparently I got really into, oh, there's more, putting envelopes in. More quotes. Oh, this is more recent. This was after I moved to Arkansas, but I didn't have a real art journal. I should really start one again. So I just tucked it in here. This is a Walter Anderson. He's one of my favorite artists from Mississippi. Fairies. Dolls. This is one that I've remembered in my mind. I remember like cutting out these waves out of blue. But in my mind, it's like just this part. I kind of forgot about all these other images that I put. Then I think this is when I was reading The Artist's Way. One of the things that you do is you just move a crayon along with music. And so I did that. This is a Tim McGraw, Angry All the Time. I wrote down what song I did it to. My name at Girl Scout Camp was Tweety, so these are some Tweety Bird stickers. Yeah, so basically what I would do at this time is I would cut things out of magazine that caught my eye and sort them somewhat by color and somewhat by style until I could make a collage out of them. This, I think, was another kind of assignment from The Artist's Way where you just start with like one shape and then you add on and on. Some more quotes. I really like plaid. These are some songs from Forever Plaid, but I never kind of like taped them in. That's why this is plaid. I see. I do like plaid. So I think I had in mind something like this, but I never really finished this part. Do you ever do that where you start something and don't finish? Then these were words that I was collecting and trying. I think this had just started on the internet. I can't remember what it's called, but like a word cloud, I guess, where words kind of fit together. And then this is The Lady of Shalott, which I've always loved from Anne of Green Gables. Clearly have a little bit more of the Anne of Green Gables type of inspiration here. I think this is actually from a travel guide that I got. And again, like I started all these spreads and didn't really finish them. I think this is just random stuff. Which is interesting because now this is not something I would do, more or less because I have the pressure that things that I make have to like have a reason, where I was clearly just having fun. This girl's wearing like a Pippi Longstocking shirt. I cut these pants out for some apparent reason. A lot of this is stuff I had just saved for a long time or was a little bit interested in, and I just put it all on one random page. This is another art trip. This is when we toured Ole Miss. More Anne of Green Gables. Apparently I was reading Rilla. Again, didn't finish. More Anne of Green Gables. I was really enjoying that travel guide. And then a little bit of a green collage. We were doing this red hat, pink hat society for a while, but I didn't find enough red hats to fill the page. And then I was doing point. I think it was at that time. I either was doing it or had just finished it. So anytime I saw in a magazine something about ballet, I would cut it out. I really loved this photograph. I kind of, like, I remember this one specifically, saving it for something. And then I guess I just made it, like, around with this poem. Just something about the light and how kind of relaxed she is. And if you notice, there's some movement in it in the way that it took the photo and it flashed. And it's not really technically that great of a photo from a photography technical standpoint because things are blurry. But actually, I really like that. I like the warm tones of this. This was a program from a chamber choir concert at my community college. So that's why I put this, because it was like music. And then I have like a pretty good memory of these too. I didn't write this. This was in the magazine, but I really like this series of photos. Don't remember what magazine this was, but it was clearly really fun with the photos that they included. Cowboy boots. Sarah Drew. That's my name, but it's spelled wrong. So this was kind of, March is my birth month, so I was doing some kind of Sarah March related collage, but again, like, I would wait until I had enough pieces to kind of fill 2 pages, but sometimes I didn't ever get enough. Didn't get enough here. The Big Bad Wolf is a play that I wasn't, let's see, I guess I was there for tryouts, but I wasn't there for, I wasn't really involved in this. I kind of watched the auditions, and then I came back and I watched the play. And it's funny that it says tryouts because, like, in community college and community theater, you call auditions tryouts, and then as you grow up, oh my goodness, these girls are like grown-ups now. This is kind of depressing. I'm going to move on. Finding Neverland, I really, really loved. Was super inspired by that movie. I got it on DVD, but I don't think I've ever watched it again. These are some blottos where you take a piece of paper and you put dots of watercolor and then you fold it in half and unfold it. So that was fun. That was from my art education class. Got some fairy tales here. Whew. This is the Bad Day collage. I like kind of how I put this. This is from something else. So she's having trouble with her umbrella, and then I've got this frame. So it's kind of like I was doing so much that I wasn't putting pressure on making things really great, but then like there's certain moments that I'm like, yeah, I would like to use that idea again. This is another play I was in, State Fair. This is a Vacation Bible School. I actually played the lead in this, surprisingly enough, because I'm not the actressy type, but that's the play that I had solos and everything. Somehow I survived. Photographers. Plans for Kitty College, when I taught art class in the summer. Star Wars. Remember how great we thought this was going to be? Moving on. Oh, I got the sweetest notes. I used to coach gymnastics, and I would just get the sweetest notes from my students. I put that one in here. Really liked the movement in this, clearly, because I imitated it in the frame. More quotes, more like shapes put together. I really like this one. This, I think, is something I came back to and revisited a few times. Actually, my theater management class, I used something like this to make the logo. This I was fascinated by. solo cups and rock climbing. Didn't really finish this collage. I think we found the theme here. So I used to coach gymnastics. These are like some gymnastics. Again, with the pencils, I was really tentative, so things aren't really dark enough for you to see. I was much better at legs than arms. And this is when I started going to the W. So I guess this went from like probably 2003 to 2005 or 2006. I was kind of exploring these. These are thumbnails for a project I was doing for college. Again, you cannot see. I did like a seascape in my colograph printmaking class. Then State Fair. Right, because by the time I did State Fair, that was 2005, and I was at the W. I wasn't at East Central anymore. And Frog and Toads, the first play at the W, I wasn't involved. Well, I took photos of this. I was still an art major, and I took photos of the play, but I wasn't, well, and I helped a little bit with the scenery, but I wasn't a theater major yet, so I wasn't as involved. This play, if you ever have a chance to see it, it's a musical, A Year with Frog and Toad, and it is so good. It's still one of my favorite plays I've ever been involved with. And then we hosted ACTF, American College Theater Festival, at our college. And so I have a lot of programs from other plays that I saw and did little sketches of the scenery, and some of them were in the school newspaper, so I cut them out. More and more. What's this? Oh, more programs. This looks like a thank you note. Oh, thank you note from Brooke Hanneman. So this is 2005, and I'm kind of seem to be wrapping up here. It's an article about pottery. Then I was doing a monologue from Runaway Bride, so I was kind of taking notes on that. A lot of notes. Art exhibit. You know what? I think we might have reached the part where I didn't have time to do this. Oh, there's a little bit more. Rain boots. Emma Watson. She's still so cool, y'all. I'm in her, I haven't participated, but on Goodreads, she has a book club where I think maybe it's every month or every quarter she picks a book. And a couple of them I've bought, but I haven't read yet. For some reason, I like the unique angle of these ads, how they aren't targeted to the perfect or pretty consumer, a different approach. This is kind of the very beginning of that 2005, kind of moving out of the 90s perception of what women need to be. We see a lot more of this now, which I'm pretty glad about. These are from Nike. Now Dove's kind of taking it on. Really like, look at this crazy bridge, and they're still using it. And more books, just everything I'd collected about books. This I added, which is kind of interesting. Like, it looks like it's part of the picture in a weird kind of funky perspective kind of way, but it's not. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. Another page I didn't finish. So around this time, I think after Frog and Toad, I switched to being an art major. This like some fashion inspiration. I switched to being an art major, and I didn't necessarily have as much free time anymore once I was in rehearsals every night. New car. Lonely little car tie. This is another page I remember. I remember the ones I spent the most time on, I guess, where I wasn't just, gluing or taping pictures down. But this was a sunset that I did in crayon. Empty. Just stuff that I liked in magazines. The thing that's interesting about this is seeing what caught your eye then and what would catch your eye now. Like, I think I would still wear some of these kind of pottery style necklaces. And I would love that plate. Another little sketch page. this, I think, yeah, this is from when I moved to Arkansas. I was going to post a new quote from typed on my typewriter every week, I think, on my blog or on Instagram. And this is one of something I've been saving for a while. And I guess I was going to do that in here, since I had a few empty pages in the back, but I think that's the only one I did. This is from lisacurrie.com. It's kind of like she has you fill all of this out, like what's in my brain right now, Arkansas women bloggers, Shakespeare, Etsy, chicken dumplings, making videos and photos, childhood, books, fairies, gymnastics, adulthood, books, cooking, to-do list, free time, going for a walk, my awesome mix, 500 miles, all these things I've done, and Eye of the Tiger, a lie, calm, perfect desk, a truth, chaos. Where did you go, neat workspace? Yeah, I'll clean up, but it doesn't stay like that for very long. And so she probably still has this if you want to find it. I'll link to it down below. I think that was probably the last thing in here. So yeah. I think like my big takeaways from looking at this is how much of it is just like the act of putting stuff down, not necessarily, we didn't have social media back then, so I wasn't like trying to make something really beautiful or interesting to share. I was more or less just documenting things that caught my eye for whatever reason. I really love this of Carol Burnett with all the mattresses, and like sketching things and not necessarily putting the pressure of them needing to be good. Like this is when I was an art major, so the things that I did for art class, there was a certain kind of pressure and idea of what they needed to be, where this was just like a place to play. And I actually started something, I tried to start one of these, I think it's been 2 years ago now. Before we go, wait, it's not here. Well, I thought I would just pull it out and show you how little I've done. Oh, there it is. So yeah, this is something Austin Kleon talks about a lot, just like thinking on paper, and clearly I used to do that a lot more than I do now. So I got this book to kind of try to start again. I don't know if the size of it is too small. And then I put Anne of Green Gables in the front because Austin Kleon like puts like a muse in the front of each of his. Okay, so I started it almost a little more than a year ago, and see how little I have done. I did a little page on what I was supposed to be doing, a little page of constellations. This is my favorite thing, which I didn't even make in here, but I put in here, which I guess is part of the point of this, to gather up little scraps. This is how I was planting and planning my garden, and I have little daffodils coming up now, and I have little snowdrops, and so this is super exciting, you guys, that I like held on to this so that I can, and I did a little watercolor too, but it's not in here. This is just like the freeform sketch. And so once my garden's ready, I'll do a vlog and I'll show like, here's how I planned it and here's what it looks like. Right now it's pretty empty, but starting to see the bulbs pop up, which is very exciting. And then soon I'll be able to plant some of these others. So just washi taped that in here. I got a flowering cherry tree for my birthday last year, so that was 1 year ago. And then just making some patterns. Like, I was kind of on to the right idea of just playing in here, but then I think I started to feel like, what's the point? Okay, you guys, I don't know where you missed. I don't know where it stopped recording. After I did a little bit of like doodle pattern play, and then I kind of didn't use this at all between March. I did a couple. This might have been when I was thinking of doing NaNoWriMo. So like between March and November, I did nothing. I didn't do NaNoWriMo. And then this was actually a month ago. Austin Kleon, he's kind of like one of my big inspirations right now of just pure creativity. because he doesn't have, like, he writes books and stuff, but he doesn't monetize everything he makes, which is something I was kind of falling into the trap of for a while. He's doing really fun, cool collages where you take tape and you put it on a magazine and you pull it off, and it is surprisingly hard to do. So here's like the first ones I tried. They're like epic fails. This is Scotch magic tape, which is too good at, basically you need a really cheap tape. So I moved from this to packing tape, which was kind of working. And this is packing tape. It's kind of playing with doing a whole collage. And then some more tests. This is just like cheap 97 cents tape, which was definitely working. I was just interested to kind of try and play after I saw him do that. And that was like a month ago. And maybe I'll come back to this and share more, or not share, because I think part of the trap that I've fallen into these days is I think everything I make has to be shareable or has to be of a certain quality. And there's something about just playing and just taping things down and looking at images. It can kind of like free up your mind to think about things. I have a couple other sketchbooks I'm not sure. I think the other one that I have from around, I have a second one. I'm not sure why I started a second one. I hadn't filled this one, but I guess it was getting close to the end, so I started a second one of these. And then I have some of the art that I did as a kid. So if you'd like to see that, let me know down below. And I'd love to know, like, if you keep an art journal, if you find like the way that you created changed from when you were young to when you're now, and if you kind of fall into that pressurized trap. So yeah, I would like to challenge you and challenge myself to kind of take, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes this week and just make something, just to kind of like experiment and test things out, whether you're pulling things out of magazines or using things that you've saved or just like playing with a new art supply. And so yeah, that's kind of my challenge of this video, and I hope to make more videos coming up later this year. I've kind of got a new YouTube setup. Hopefully, I think normally I can fit more in, but I had to put the camera up to fit because this is pretty big. So yeah, I'm pretty much rambling now, but I will link to my blog and my Instagram down below, and I hope to hear from you there, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.